Hey everyone, this is Robert, and thank you for tuning into Station Square. Hope everybody's doing well out there. And yeah, it's been quite a hectic month, with all over with with a lot of stuff that's been happening in the industry, on and off. But today we're going to be talking to somebody who has pretty much been in the business for so long. Like, if I list off their portfolio and everything, I might be here for like another 10, 15 minutes or so. But his, I'm just gonna give his, little introduction here, or I'm just gonna let him grace you with his presence. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Marc Cashman.
Thank you for inviting me, Robert. Really appreciate it.
Yep, anytime. So I guess before we actually get to the questions, like we've been talking, like before we actually started recording about like, how the industry changed and the top five, like you've mentioned the legs of a table, like what are the top five essential, components of building a successful VO career. But before we can get to all of that, I wanted to ask you, my good sir, because I'm not sure if I did before we actually recorded this, but yeah, how has this year been for yeah so far? Like as far as VO, live, anything, because we're already in August, which is kind of insane to think about because like literally it was just January. Now we're here in August. Like what? So yeah, we could just talk about how your little retrospective on 2023 and yeah, how it's been, work and everything that you've been doing. Just give us
Yeah.
a quick little rundown,
Well, I'm
just to break
I'm
the
I'm in
ice.
a pretty fortunate situation in that again because I've been in the business for so long, 45 years. Um, I've
Congrats,
built
by the
up.
way.
Oh, thanks. I've built up a lot of contacts. I built up, um, at least, and and so I'm very fortunate in that I'm always busy with something. Now, the
Mhm.
good thing is that I've tried to be as versatile as I can in my career. When you look at my bio, every time I see my bio, the one thing that starts my bio off is this: both sides. He's on both sides of the glass, meaning that I'm I've been a director on one side of the glass and an actor on the other side. I've been a writer and a casting director on one side of the glass and a performer on the other side. So, and on top of it, and I teach, and I've been teaching for the past 20 years, 23 years now. And so every day is different. So, uh, and within every day is different as well. So within a typical day, I'm teaching, doing coaching with somebody, or I'm auditioning for a job that one of my agents sent me, or I'm casting project that somebody asked me to help cast on, or I'm casting something that I'm actually producing, something that I've written and produced, and I'm casting that as well. And then when I've got nothing else to do, when all of those things go away, I'm also performing on an actual work, actual jobs, commercials, or audiobooks, or whatever the case may be. And if that stops, I'm still working on my sequel to my book. I'm trying to finish my second book. So that's why every day is different. Every day is busy. Every day is fun. And every day I wake up saying, oh boy, what's going to happen today?
Yeah. It was something that I was talking about before on the podcast. It's the daily life of a voice actor. It can be really unpredictable because there's going to be days where you're booking like crazy. You got all these scripts and auditions, and you got projects due, and you're working with clients as a voiceover talent. But then there's going to be weeks, or depending on circumstances, it can last like a while. It can definitely last for a long time where you're in a place where it's like, huh, okay, so I'm not really booking. So, and that's where you were talking to me about like, what's holding us back as voiceover artists. So we'll definitely get to that. We'll definitely get to it in a little bit, but Yeah, and sometimes it really can be like that, where sometimes you're really busy and you're productive, and then weeks go by and suddenly it's like it's crickets. So
Absolutely,
that's
absolutely.
where,
And
yeah,
I always, always, always advise that whenever things slow down, make use of your downtime.
yeah,
Make use of your downtime. Use that time. If you're not working, use that time to find work, to beat the bushes and look for work. So that if you're not busy working, you're busy finding work. You're busy looking for work. You're
oh
busy
yeah,
beating the bushes. You're basically doing your marketing thing. Because when you're working, you don't have time to market. You don't have time to promote yourself. You have
yeah,
no time for self promotion when you are working. So the only time you have for self promotion is when you're not working. That's why I say make use of your downtime when you're not working. You were our jobs as actors, I call them itinerant actors, is to constantly keep things going, keep things moving, and constantly let the world know that we exist. We're actors. We're
yeah,
actors. We stand on a stage and we say to the world, look at me, applaud me, hire me. Every actor in the world, every single actor in the world wants to take the bow, wants to hear the applause, wants the author to come up to them and say, you made my words come alive. That's what every actor wants. And the only way that's going to happen is if the actor hustles. That's it. The world is not going to beat a path to your door. You have to let the world know you exist.
yeah. Because even if you, and I was also talking about this, like, maybe it can be time to refresh your demo or refresh your website, if you're seeking an agency and doing all that extra stuff. But most importantly, you are your own boss. Most of the stuff is all pretty much comes down to you. Like, no one's gonna wave around or just like, we can't just sit and wait around for the work to come to us.
No, it's
Like,
not
we
going to
still
come.
have to, no, we still every day auditioning, doing something that is related to VO, even the smallest stuff every single day. It's just like whether it's like being on what's the right, how can I phrase this, so if you're on social media, learning how to manage your time, looking for what's new, what's current in the industry, studying, taking classes, doing something every day to get better at your craft every single day, it's definitely um it's something that is very crucial for every actor because um we work every single day, and we there's times where it's like, okay, so if we're not booking work, then like you said, we're looking for work, or we're doing something like training or marketing, and pretty much the stuff that you've been saying, like on other workshops and classes and interviews, like it just really never stops.
No.
It really doesn't. No.
No, it doesn't. And yet, when you say it really never stops, it's really, really important that you brought up that tiny little point. Every so often, you need to stop.
Yeah.
Every so often, you need to leave it all behind. Every so often, you need to leave your booth. You need to leave your room. You need to leave your house. You need to leave your city. You need to leave. Period. You need to leave. You need to come out. You
Yeah.
you definitely. I'm trying to undo my camera here. There we
Yeah.
go.
Take your
There we
time.
go. There
There
we
you
go.
go.
So yeah, you every so often you need what's what I call an ear wash.
Yeah.
You need an ear wash. You need to leave. You need to go to the beach. You need to go to the mountains. You need to just get out and get away. And then that way, when you come back refreshed. You come back with a different perspective. You come back with a renewed interest. You, but you need a break every so often, and not just vacation like I just mentioned, but technically even during the day you need to take a break every 15 minutes. You need to get up from your desk. You need to get your eyes off that monitor. You need to get up and walk around. We are sitting to death in front of our monitors as voice actors. because we have a microphone. See, other actors, they don't have to worry about what we do. Other actors, stage actors, they're on stage. They're working their muscles, they're moving, they're working with other actors. Same thing with on camera. They're moving. Even puppetry, they're moving. We're the only ones who sit in front of our monitors and record all day long. So you got to get up. You got to get up. You got to move around. You got to get away, take a break every so often. Don't sit to death in front of your monitor.
Very important you mentioned that. Yep. I really couldn't agree more. Like, there's nothing else that I can add to that. Like, it's simply just, yeah, everything that you've said, I agree 100%.
Well,
Yeah.
that's why this interview is going to go so well.
It's like, I ask you something and then you give like beautiful advice that I cannot even add to it. So, or yeah, or well, that, and also we kind of rambled about, and it's also important too. Oh, by the way, on my show, we would sometimes talk about like, why video games, or whether it's something that you've been moved, if somebody moves you, or what is it about the industry that made you fall in love with it. So we talk about topics like that, and we talk about why, like, and I also say this too, like, if you're really passionate and if it's something that holds like this strong, like, fire inside of you, then by all means go for it. Whether it's something that inspired you as a kid or it's something that you feel that you can give, like, hey, maybe I can add a little something to the project that they may not be aware that they're looking for. So maybe I can add that little extra something that can make it even better. If
That's
I'm going
right.
to use something for like, that's something that I learned from Crispin Freeman when I was watching, which by the way, I'll probably add his podcast in the description because it's a really good resource. But
Yeah,
I think he said something like loving the art in you than loving the art itself. And it's something that I was like, when I first heard it, I was like, wow, because it really does bring back the perspective of why we fell in love with acting.
that's right.
It's we're all creative storytellers. We all have stories to share. We all love working, and we want to be the best collaborators and the best, give our very best to whatever project really, especially during the time, like, I love working with clients to make their visions come to life, but most importantly, I just love being expressive, and you know even if it's a way to just break out of shyness, or because for all of us, I know, especially with this, I mean, I guess we could say endemic, I guess, but a lot of us who are like, and it's really good that you mentioned like being inside and mostly working on our computer screens. Like, for most of us that are introverts or extroverts, like, going outside can really make such a huge difference, exercise, working out. But I think for us as who are struggling, with communicating with people, like, this is kind of something that really helps us, like, when you step behind the microphone, all of a sudden it just feels that, like, that weight and intent, and like that tension that is inside of you, like when you're in the skin of a different character. If you're doing a commercial, if you're doing like a promo, if you're doing a video game, there's so much like work that goes into it, but most importantly, like, playing a different character that you find yourself, that is, find a piece of yourself that's relatable. It's just one of the best. Like, it can be therapeutic. Like, acting can really be like a way
Cathartic.
for,
It's
yeah,
cathartic.
cathartic. It's
Yeah,
really cathartic. Yeah. Like, if you're having a really crummy day, like, maybe there's a character that might be, just the right, that could just hit the right spot for you. And,
yeah,
you could just feel better.
that's right.
And you're, in a much better mindset. And trust me, you just never, like I said, you just never know what is going to happen. You never know what work you're going to be booking. So it's like every day just brings a whole new surprise. I know
That's
you've
right.
been
And
doing
that's
this for like over
wonderful.
40 years. Like, I've been doing this for 6 years. And even then, like, for all these years, you still have no idea what, tomorrow is going to bring, or what
That's
today
right.
is going to bring. So
That's right.
it can be unpredictable. So the best thing that you could do, it's just learn about what's new and current and just never stop learning
That's
and just
exactly.
keep going. Yeah.
That's right. Carpe diem, seize the day.
Yeah.
That's it. That's what, and we're lucky. If
Mhm.
we're able to do that. Um, Most people, do
Yeah.
a 9 to 5 job. They go in, they clock out. They have they know what they're going to be doing, and but when you're an actor, you have many times have absolutely no idea what's going to be happening on a day-to-day basis. So the most important thing the only thing that we can the best thing we can do on a day-to-day basis is the two operative words for every performer. There are two words I want you to scratch onto your forehead. Don't scratch it, but just keep uh, figuratively, and put it up on your mirror, and put it on your dashboard in your car. Two words that are behind every performance you do. Have fun. Have fun. Have fun. If you're not having fun, why are you doing it? If you're not having fun, then then acting is not the job for you. But I don't know any actor who, when they're acting, isn't having fun. And that's the thing that a lot of actors again do and remind themselves of, and a lot of regular folks don't. They don't know how to have fun.
Yep.
That's it. That's just
Yeah.
have fun.
So,
Those are the two best words of advice I ever got. I remember I was on my way to
yeah.
an audition. I was auditioning for a play, an actual stage play. And I was on my way to the audition, and I called a friend, and who was a voice actor, stage actor, and on camera actor, all three. And I said, "Any words of advice? I'm on my way to an audition. Any words of advice?" He said, "Yeah, have fun." And I remembered those words like they were yesterday, like he said them yesterday. And I've applied those two words every single time I've gotten either behind a microphone, in front of a camera, or on a stage.
Well, yep, having fun. That's like, I probably should just have like a little like, in studios they have like these big like recording, neon lights. I feel like I should probably have one of these, except it says have fun.
That's
That's what I
right.
definitely should
Absolutely.
do.
That's a good
Yeah.
idea. That's a great
Yeah.
idea. Yeah. Instead of recording or on air, have
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah. Or I'm just gonna say have fun, and then I'm just and then I
Right.
do a lot of screams for video games.
Good. Good, good, good.
Yeah. That way I'll just let them know, okay, don't worry guys, I'm okay, I'm having
That's right.
fun.
Don't hurt
It's
yourself. That's right.
yeah.
You know,
Exactly.
it's
Oh yeah,
what
vocal health. Yeah.
one of my students was laughing the other day because he he was doing a video game audition, and and it was for some horror thing, whatever it was, and he had to scream. He had to
Ooh.
have this horrible blood curdling scream.
Mm.
So he did a whole bunch of screams, and edited it, sent it in. Like about 10 minutes later, he hears a knock on the door, and it's his next door neighbor, because he lives in an apartment and the walls are not that thick. And his
Mm.
next door neighbor says, "Are you okay?" And he and
Do I
and
do I
and,
do
he,
I
and the guy said, "Yeah, why?" He says, "Well, I heard the screaming coming from your apartment." He said, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry."
Oh man. Dude, I've heard so many stories. Like, okay, not to derail the conversation, but I've there have been times where people have actually gotten police reports on them for like domestic
I believe it.
situations and
I
stuff, but
totally,
yeah,
completely believe
luckily,
it.
you know, knock on wood, like that has not happened to me, and
Yeah.
I'm just praying that it stays that way because I don't live in an apartment where I have like
Well,
neighbors
then you don't have
around
to
me and
worry
stuff.
about it. Yeah,
Yeah,
then you don't
I
have to
don't,
worry about it.
and
But yeah,
plus
when
my
you have
family knows how loud I can get, so
a
they cool with that. They know this is what I do every day for a living.
That's great. That's just great.
Yeah. So at least there's that.
Yeah.
But man, it's so funny hearing like yeah, I was just doing like these big blood curdling screams and you feel really good about it and then is everything okay? We heard it disturb. That's I that without fail, if you're living in an apartment,
I
every
know.
time.
You got
every
to be
single
careful.
time.
You
Yeah,
got to be careful.
exactly. Um, well, okay. So my next question is in regards to because I know you were talking about how like everything just kind of shifted, like literally made a drastic change over these last 3 years or so. So, but from when you first started, working in the business, and here we are, like 45 years later,
Mm.
what are some of the biggest ones that you've
Oh,
noticed, like when it
well,
comes to industry? And
well, the biggest game changer. How old are you, Robert?
I am turning 24 next month.
24. Meaning you were
Yeah,
born in 1999.
pretty much, yeah.
You were born in 1999, so you are pretty much an internet baby.
Yeah, like
You
literally yeah, actually the internet was around during the
it
90s,
it,
but
it
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 definitely
really
exploded.
exploded
Yeah.
when you around the time you were born.
Yeah.
You do not understand or know about the analog world. I, however, and my colleagues do because I'm straddling the 20th and the 21st century. And so the biggest game changer of all happened in the 90s with the internet. It was a total and complete game changer. So the 20th century was the analog century, and the 21st century is the digital century. And so basically, all the equipment and stuff like that I was using back in the 80s and the 90s, 70s, 80s, 90s, that equipment pretty much gone by the wayside, with the exception of microphones. And microphones are still actually, you have to connect them. They're electrical, there are connections and stuff like that. And that's
Definitely
pretty
my
much,
parents. Yeah, they definitely
and
should know about that stuff because they were from that generation of
they're from
like the
that
70s,
generation.
80s. Yeah.
Exactly. So there are certain things that have not changed: microphones, speakers,
Yeah.
headphones, those type of things. But back in the, again, in the 20th century, when people went into record, they went into a recording studio. They went into a commercial recording studio where a lot of money was spent putting those facilities together. Millions of dollars sometimes in equipment and construction and everything to make basically sound, sound not, and there's nothing that's soundproof, by the way. People who use the word soundproof all the time. Nothing is soundproof. Not even a capsule in space is soundproof. Sound deadening materials, yes, we want to get sound absorbing materials in the places that we're recording in, but nothing is ever soundproof. Plus, you don't need anything that's soundproof. You just need something that's got sound absorbing materials around you. But the biggest game changer was, one, the internet, and the fact that it democratized voice work. So now, so people said, hey, I could be a voice actor. I just need a microphone. I'll hook it up and I'll do my thing here. And so a lot of people got into the business who thought that it would just be really, really easy to do. Um, and then, of course, the ubiquity of home studios. In other words, people now building their own home studio in their room, so they don't have to go to a commercial studio. They don't have to schlep across town and go to a commercial studio inside. Um, a lot of people say, you know what, I can do both. I can have a home studio and I can go to a commercial studio as well. That happens. But the two biggest changes were, again, the internet and then home studios. Used to be when people would audition, actors would audition, they'd go to their talent agency. They'd go, literally drive to the agency, park, go up to the agency office, go into a booth, be directed by the booth director at the agency, and then go home and wait for the phone to ring. Not anymore. Not anymore. Once the internet came along and once home studios started becoming ubiquitous, people said, I'm not going to come in. I'm not going to schlep in for an audition. I'm just going to record the audition in my home studio and I'm going to send it to you. That's the way it's going to work. And that's the way it has been working now for the past 20 years. Hardly anybody ever goes into their talent agency to audition. We audition in our home studios. And we have to make sure our home studios are up to snuff and sound great and professional. Many times
Yeah.
we'll record something, and the client will say, "Hey, Robert, that sounds fantastic. We're going to use this for air. We don't even have you don't even have to come back in. Your booth sounds great." So the biggest game changer really was the internet.
Yeah.
And again, home recording, home studios, home of recording software, Adobe Audition, Audacity, Pro Tools, all the different tools that we use for production. And the other thing that happened as a result of the industry growing was the first voiceover conventions.
Oh yes. Yep.
And so
That
starting
too.
it
Yeah.
all started at around 2007. Around 2007, the very one of the very first big voiceover conventions came along. It was in Las Vegas, VOICE. James Alberger and Penny Apshire put that together, and it was called
I
VOICE, the Voiceover International Conference Experience, or something like that. So the
remember
acronym was
reading
VOICE.
about that.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember
So
reading that. Yeah.
they had a number of conventions, and hundreds of people from all over the world came to these conventions. The first one was in Vegas. Then they realized that was a mistake because everybody's smoking there. So then they moved to LA, and it was in LA for two, in 2008, 2010, 2012, and 2014. And then by the time 2014 came along, other people started putting voiceover conventions together and voiceover
Oh yeah.
conferences. So you
Yep.
had at VO Atlanta, and then you had Mavo, and then you had One Voice, and they had this and that. And now voiceover conventions are ubiquitous. They're everywhere. They're all the time. There's every single month you can find one or more voiceover conventions or conferences going on. And it's a huge thing that happened. And that again, a result of the internet, where people were joining different voiceover clubs and talking to each other and say, "Yeah, I'm coming. Are you coming? Are you going?" Et cetera, et cetera. And then they all meet up
Man.
at a certain place and say, "Oh, I've been talking to you for months online. It's so nice to meet you in person." And so the voiceover conferences became quite ubiquitous and popular, and still are. And so over the that's in terms of changes that I've seen over the past 45 years, those are the biggest ones.
Yeah. And I should also mention this because I was talking about it with the previous guests that I've had before this one. Some of the biggest ones that I've noticed, well, since I was born in 99, this was also around the time that Um, because I remember when we used to have like the VHSs, like there was Blockbuster, Hollywood Video, so there was like a lot of home video releases, but those were kind of like starting to peter out by like early mid 2000s. By the late 2000s, it's kind of like because we could get because people were buying DVDs, and then eventually we started getting streaming services. And as somebody who grew up around like VHSs and video cassette tapes, and that was pretty much what my family was, because I came from the generation. My family, once again, was from the generation where we had that stuff, and
That's right.
I was exposed to a lot of the '90s media. And one of
Sure.
the biggest stuff that happened was like it was the boom of like anime dubbing, and that's pretty much where something that's definitely where like some of the biggest anime like say Dragon Ball or Sailor Moon, that's like kind of the big ones that are out right now, and they still are, and that's pretty much what how a lot of people got introduced to it,
Yep.
whether it be from like a VHS or they're watching it on Toonami, or there it just kind of paved the way for a new generation of voice actors that
Sure
I've
did.
definitely seen. Like a lot of the big ones that you see right now did start out as anime fans, and now they're working with Crunchyroll or Funimation, or the big studios. Like over here, we have Bang Zoom, or they're working at Cartoon Network or Nickelodeon and Disney, and so on and so forth. So it's definitely like I said, you just never know what is gonna happen. As long as if your heart is in the right place and you really have a love for this, go for it. You just don't know what's going to happen.
Right.
Always, always be prepared. And just have fun.
Have fun.
Yep. So let's talk about I know we're kind of running out of time, but the top five, like, essential ingredients or like the tools that every voice actor needs of running a successful voiceover career business that you were mentioning to me.
Well,
Or,
actually, we talked about that earlier before we
yeah.
in our pre-interview situation here,
Yeah.
and I was giving you a perspective, and for all your listeners now, if you want a really good perspective as to what you need to have a successful voiceover career, voice acting career, is, and we were talking about this before, the analogy is very simple. It's a table with four legs. The table's got four legs. If any one of those legs are missing, the table falls down. So what are the four legs of the table that you need in order to succeed? Table leg number one, you have to have talent. You've got to be talented. You have to be a great performer. You have to be a terrific storyteller. You have to be articulate. You have to be cogent. You have to be coherent. You have to understand what it is you're saying, and you have to be able to take direction. You have to have talent. If you don't have talent, you're not going to be able to compete against people who do. And so, talent is a crucial leg of that table. It's a must have. What's the other must have? Because you're a voice actor, you have to have a place to record your voice. You have to have a space, and it's got to be an acoustically quiet space. And not only do you have to have a space, but you have to have equipment in order to record yourself. And then once you have that equipment, you have to know how to put it all together. And then once it's all together, you have to have software to run that equipment. And you have to understand how to edit yourself, because you are acting and you're performing and you're recording. So you have to understand how to edit those recordings. In other words, your production sound is your second leg. You have to have a quiet booth. You have to have great equipment. You have to know how to put it all together, and you have to know how to make it sound great. Your production sound, that's your second leg of the table. If you can't produce what you do, then you're useless. Nobody's going to hear it. So you need that second leg, production, the output. What's the third leg you need? Very simply, marketing and self promotion. Yes, you're going to be doing a demo. That's part of your marketing. That's your product. And then you have to sell that product. You have to promote that product. You have to get that product out into the world. You have to let the world know you exist. The world's not going to beat a path to your door. You got to let them know. So marketing and self promotion, very crucial. Otherwise, the talent and the production are useless. They just don't, they'll just sit and collect dust. So you got to let the world know that you exist. So marketing and self promotion is the third leg of that table. The fourth leg is very simply ongoing training. Ongoing training. The best actors never stop learning. And so therefore you have to keep your skills honed and sharpened, and you have to be ready to hit the ground running. If you get a job, somebody says, Robert, we need you. Remember that audition you did a few months ago for so and so? No, I don't remember. Well, you got the gig. Oh, really? Okay. And the job works next week. You ready? Okay, fine. Yeah, let's go. All right.
You have no idea how often this happens.
That's right. So that said, again, that fourth leg is your ongoing training, your ongoing learning, your classes, your coaching, going to conferences, constant ongoing learning. Never, the best actors never stop learning. And every actor you look up to, every great actor you look up to, a Robert De Niro, Meryl Streep, any one of those people, Tom Hanks, we could go on and on and on. Every one of those actors that you admire has a coach. Every one of them are working and working and getting to be better. Why? Because they know there are 100 people in line behind them ready to step over their warm body. So that's why they're constantly making sure that they are honed and sharpened, that they don't get lazy and complacent. So that's the fourth leg is ongoing training. Once you've got those four legs in place, you have a career. Does that mean that the table can't be a little wobbly, even though you got four legs? Yeah, depends upon how well the table is built. Okay. We know a card table is going to be wobbly and a wooden table is going to be less wobbly, right? So it just depends upon what the table's made of in this particular case and the way the table is designed. But still, those four legs, even if it's wobbly, the table's not going to fall down. What's going to be what's going to give the table stability? Sometimes, many times, most times, the fifth leg. The fifth leg's in the middle of the table. And once you got those four legs working on all cylinders, you can start adding a fifth leg. And the fifth leg is called paying it forward. Paying it forward. Donating your voice to a worthy cause. You know an animal shelter down the street that's struggling? Put together a public service spot for them and get donations for them. You know of an organization that houses that shelters women from domestic abuse? Donate your voice. Put together a public service spot. Help them out. Donate your talent. Pay it forward. And not just your talent, not just your voice. Arrange to get the studio to donate their time. Arrange a copywriter to donate his talent or her talent in writing the spot. Pay it forward. Pay it forward. Take your talent, your God-given talent, and use it to help other people. Pay it forward. That's the fifth leg of the table. In terms of perspective, that's the best advice I can possibly give anybody who's thinking of getting into this. It's not just one of these four legs or two or even three. It's got to be all four. Otherwise, you're not really, the table's going to fall down or going to be kind of wobbly. And you don't want that. Make
Yeah.
sense?
Yeah. And I guess that's honestly the best way to close out this interview. Thank you so much, Mark, for your wonderful time sharing all this magnificent advice. And I guess I'll just share like your socials and everything, but definitely check out his website. He's got some great stuff, which I'll also link in the description of this by the
Thank
time
you.
this goes up. And let me see, anything else? No, I think that's about it. And I guess my best piece of advice, once again, having fun. And or just do it. I don't know, but
That's right.
with all due respect. But with that said, thank you for watching, and stay tuned for next time on Station Square. This is Robert Jackson signing out, and until then, have a good one, folks, and keep being awesome. Love y'all. Bye.